State playoffs are finally here. Giddy up, Cowboy.
Tarek is a real character. That was Tarek Fatal. I'm Randy Rosenblum, and this is SoCal Prep Report. Doing the program remotely today, but we're going to still have the same subject matter for you. We're going to talk about the state regional playoffs, which has concluded. And Tarek, I think we need to start with Sierra Canyon in the semifinals. They had to play Santa Margarita once again, and it was the same result. I got to tell you, the Trailblazers were great. Again, they knocked off the Santa Margarita Eagles.
Yeah, it was another rematch. Listen, first time they saw each other in the section playoffs, it was a blowout. So this time everyone thought, okay, this game's got to be tighter. And it was, but not by much. It was the third quarter again for Sierra Canyon. They pulled away. Star Drew Anderson got hurt in the third quarter, though he had 20 points in 3 quarters for Santa Margarita. He actually left the game, never came back, and that was it. It was like blood in the water, and Sierra Canyon was able to finish the job. So they won that semifinal and advanced to the regional final. And I know we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, Brandon McCoy, again, was terrific for the Trailblazers. He's just seemingly unstoppable, especially in his home gym, Tarek.
He is. I mean, what's probably so impressive about Brandon McCoy is his strength. I mean, he is an ultra athlete. I mean, we're talking about blocking shots off the top of, like, the goal box. Not necessarily the backboard, but the box that's above the rim. I mean, he can get that high on a block. His dunks are explosive. But then when he's driving to the basket, he really can shed defenders. And that's where he's just most impressive. And frankly, that's where everyone looks at his game and says, okay, this guy's a pro. So in a few years, I believe he will be a lottery pick.
Yeah, he's a 5-star right now, so he's obviously sensational. All right, in the other regional semifinal, Harvard-Westlake prevailed over a very good St. Joseph team, 56-52. This was not easy for Dave Rabibo's team, but they got there.
Yeah, listen, I could argue, though they haven't won any silverware, I could argue David Rabibo for the California State Coach of the Year. I mean, the guy has done a remarkable job to get to the section final and then the regional final. And to take down St. Joseph of Santa Maria, the Central Coast champion, if I'm not mistaken, is a tall task. I mean, they've got really good players, and Coach Mott does a great job. So a really nice win for the Wolverines when they needed it most, obviously in a win-or-go-home situation.
And that took them into the championship game Tuesday for the region against Sierra Canyon. And again, Harvard-Westlake came close, but this time it was Maxie Adams that came up big for the Blazers. He scores 26, had a huge dunk late in the game. Adams and the Blazers are on their way to Sacramento.
63-57, Sierra Canyon wins. Maxie Adams, 26 points. Brandon Martinson, 11 points. I think McCoy ended up with 10 points, 5 assists. And I just think it's just too much firepower. Talent prevailed. Though Harvard-Westlake was able to keep all 3 of their games this year close, it was Sierra Canyon that won all those games. So this will be Sierra Canyon's 4th berth to the Open Division State Playoff game. Let's not forget the last time they got to the Open Division State Playoff game, State Championship, was in 2020. They won the regional final, just like we're talking about now, and then COVID came, and the game never got played. So technically, it is their 4th berth to the Open Division State Final, though the 3rd berth, when 2020, never got played. They won back-to-back in 18 and 19. Randy, those were those great Cassius Stanley, Kenyon Martin Jr., right, and Scottie Pippen teams.
If Sierra Canyon plays at home, they're just going to win. They've won over 20 in a row, 33 out of the last 34 on campus. So if they get you in their place, forget it, it's over. Yeah. That's why Sierra Canyon was easy with the win. Let's go ahead to D1, a couple early games in the regional in the semifinals. How about St. John Bosco getting by Mater Dei to get into the regional final? That was 75-71. Christian Collins was great. He had 32 for the Braves. Big-time player, nice performance. Mater Dei played well in this tournament, but comes up short.
There might not been a more valuable player to their team this year than Christian Collins. Basically, if he plays well and has a great game, they win. Yeah. I'd be willing to bet if there's probably a stat, I mean, I don't know it off the top of my head, but I'd be willing to bet he's got some type of, 25 points or more. I bet you they have one, if not no losses on the year. Something like that. When he's below 20 points or below a certain amount, that's when things get hairy for him. And that ended up happening in the regional final. I know we'll talk about that in a second. But nevertheless, against Mater Dei, he played great, and they won. Yes, and by the way, Mater Dei, Luke Barnett was playing some really great ball, and that's how they ended up getting to that regional semifinal. So kudos to Gary McKnight for adding a couple more wins to his career total.
Yeah, next year, he'll become the all-time high school leader in prep basketball. He's just a few wins away from being number one nationally in the history of the sport. Damien was able to win the other regional semifinal over Crean Lutheran 49-44. Damien trailed by 13 points here.
Yeah, the most impressive stat isn't just the comeback. They only held Crean Lutheran to 12 points in the second half in a high school game. It's remarkable to score basically an average of 6 points each quarter in the third and fourth frame. I mean, that is Mike LeDuc at its finest. He's going to put together a game plan that takes away what you do best, and it ended up working out for them. To take down Crean Lutheran at home, look, a lot of people wanted to call it like an upset. I don't know about that. Though Crean Lutheran won the Division I championship, Damien was an open division team and qualified to the open division, and won a game in the open division. They didn't qualify. They ended up having to win like a knockout game against Etowanda. But technically, they were the team at home and the higher ranked team. So I didn't quite see it as an upset, though. I think from 30,000 feet up, people just saw Crean Lutheran as a section champion in Division I and Damien not a champion, though in a higher division. So I thought that was a bit odd. Nevertheless, kudos to Damien for pulling out a comeback victory.
And then they go ahead on Tuesday night and they knock off St. John Bosco 48-41. LeDuc's team really controlled the tempo. Elijah Smith had 20 points. Eli Garner, who is a tremendous mid-range shooter, had 16. This Spartan team under LeDuc has really come on.
Yeah, I've been calling Mike LeDuc Mike LeWin the last couple of the weeks because the wins he's been putting together. Look, the Crean Lutheran was impressive, again, because of the defensive performance in the second half. But overall, in totality, I do think the win over St. John Bosco on the road in Bellflower against a McDonald's All-American and Christian College is far more impressive. LeDuc, I believe, won a state championship at Division I level in 2022, so now he can get one here in 2026.
All right, let's go to some of these other regional boys finals. D2, Palisades came up just short at Bakersfield Christian, losing 59-57. Jack Levy had a nice game. He had 6 threes and had 21 points for the Dolphins. Had a chance to win the game late, but it was a half-court three that fell off the iron, and Bakersfield Christian goes to Sacramento.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I think had Palisades not had to, the game was in Bakersfield, right? I'm trying to say.
Yes,
I think it was on the road. Yeah. So had they not had to travel, maybe things are a little different. But I'm a little shocked. I mean, I expected Palisades to be in the Division II state final. I thought after winning Open, they got kind of a gift going all the way down to D2 in the state playoffs. So, yeah, I think it's okay to say, hey, slightly disappointed. I think they were 1 win away, but nevertheless, a great season for that boys basketball team.
In D3, I really like the Colony team. I saw Fendi play, their star player, but they fell to Birmingham. And the Patriots are a really young team, talented team, and they blow out Colony big time. They blow the Titans away.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, if I'm not mistaken, Birmingham's top player is a gentleman named Takayo Phillips. I think it's Takayo. And so sorry if I butchered that. Yeah. But he was on Chatsworth the last couple of years. So I believe this might be his 3rd straight trip to a state final. Yeah, he's a transfer from Chatsworth. And obviously we know Arenas went to back-to-back finals. Division 4 and I think Division 2 last year. I think, unfortunately, he lost both of those. But, yeah, Phillips was on those teams. So kind of a cool little, not a bad little career so far to be in 3 straight state finals. But nevertheless, Nick Halleck does a great job at Birmingham. They always seem to be a little under the radar, even in the city, because there's bigger names at other programs like Palisades or even Cleveland this year. And lo and behold, here he is. He's 1 win away from being a state champion.
Yeah, Collie loses to Birmingham, and you talk about Takeo Phillips. He averaged 21 points a game this year, puts up that kind of number again in this regional final, leads Birmingham to victory, and they're on their way to Sacramento. D4, Tulare Union versus San Juan Hills. San Juan Hills won the game 74-66 for the Stallions. Rocco Jensen, who averages 21 points a game for them, scored 24 to lead San Juan Hills to victory in D4. Moving ahead to D5, it was Coalinga and Sylmar and the story of the Spartans. The Spartans win the game 66-58. Their coach, Borda Skota, gets an opportunity to win a state championship. They beat Canyon in the regional semis 100-94. This is a team that scores a lot of points, but here they're shut down a little bit, scoring 66. But Tarek, it was enough. They have a great player in Robert Wynn, and the Spartans, Wynn and Escoto, are on their way to Sacramento.
Bort Escoto, man, what a fun story it's been for those that know him. I know you've known him a long time, Randy. It's funny to see. You get the picture, the feeling that you talked to Bort about traveling to Sacramento for the state championship game, and he's kind of like, yeah, I guess, it's kind of, he's got this casual way about him, humble guy, doesn't like to brag about himself at all, has been doing it for 30 plus years, 33 to be exact, at Sylmar. So I think well-deserved, and a team that could certainly lift a state championship in Division 5. So congrats to Bort, though I don't, to me, it's like he doesn't think it's a big deal, which is kind of funny. That's his personality.
It's interesting. No Valley team in the city section has ever won a state title in basketball. We have two chances here for the Valley with both Birmingham and Sylmar. We'll see if they can get it done. Let's turn our attention to the ladies, the girls, and there was a huge upset in the regional semifinal. Sage Hill knocking off the CIF Southern Section Open Division champion Sierra Canyon 57-54. I saw the label on this game. Everyone just said stunning.
Yeah, it was. I was there. I tell you what, I was there for the doubleheader because the girls played at 5 and the boys played at 7, and that was when the boys beat Santa Margarita. So yeah, Sage Hill comes to town. Amalia Holgan comes in, only had 9 points at halftime and scored, I believe, 17 in the second half, including an and one and some free throws. And yeah, Jersey Robinson fouled out, and Sierra Canyon, I think, came in with a little complacency. I really think they did. They were so high after the big section win over Ontario. I believe there might have been a lack of focus, and in comes Sage Hill with a different set of plans, and kudos to that program and that coaching staff for getting those young ladies ready to play on the road. So they deserved to win. There's no question about it, and that's what they did.
Yeah, I agree. I think Sierra Canyon was still on a big high and really overlooked Sage Hill. And Sage Hill's a team that won 22 games in a row at one point this year. So they're a pretty good team. So Sage Hill advances, and then they're going to have to play Ontario Christian. Ontario Christian knocked off Etiwanda again. Boy, Etiwanda has another great team, but they just could not get by Ontario Christian this campaign.
I think we talked about it in previous shows. It's not abnormal for the section winner to lose in the state playoffs. It seems to happen in girls where, the section winner doesn't go on to win the state championship. Somehow that section winner gets knocked off. And so we're seeing it again here this year with Sierra Canyon. And I think Ontario Christian basically got a wake-up call in the section final with their loss. So now they are the Woken Giant, and they play a really good Archbishop Midi team led by McKenna Walichko up north. So that is going to be a fun game on Saturday night.
Yeah, I think that's the game of the state tournament, really. And Walichka's coming off surgery, but she's still playing well in the back half of this year.
Monster.
By the way, Sage Hill did not put up a fight against Ontario Christian in the regional final, 73-51. Did you see this score? I think it's right. After one quarter, Ontario Christian was leading Sage Hill 34-4.
Yeah, that either was the first quarter or like halftime or something. Yeah, it's not surprising. I do think, look, we just got done talking about how Sierra Canyon was on a high after the section final. I can almost guarantee you Sage Hill had the same thing after beating Sierra Canyon. So there is something to be said about trying to keep your cool after a big moment. It's hard to when you're dealing with teenagers, and that's the case in point.
D1 in the regional final, it was Centennial over Rancho Christian by 20, 81-61. Sydney Douglas, Cindy Bryant, two tremendous players. Centennial's got a really nice team.
Yes, Bryant is a McDonald's All-American. She's headed to Kansas. Let's not forget she is the younger sister of Carter Bryant, who went to Arizona, was a McDonald's All-American himself, and now is in the NBA with the Spurs. I think he's playing a little more G League basketball these days. But nevertheless, I mean, yeah, it's not surprising to see a good, talented program like that get to a state final. I think most of them thought they'd put up more of a fight in the Open Division ranks, but Division I still just as good.
Regional two girls basketball final. Saugus and St. Joseph. Saugus is the team that knocked out Birmingham in the tournament. St. Joseph's able to win this one 60-55, Tarek.
Yeah, not super familiar with these teams. Not going to kind of pretend the audience here like I know everything because I don't. But I will say kudos to St. Joseph. That game was at home. Saugus had to go on the road, right, from the Santa Clarita area all the way out to St. Joseph and lose by 5. So we saw some local teams, girls and boys, like Palisades, for example, had to go to Bakersfield. It's tough this late in the season to go on the road and get a win. Look at St. Joe's boys. They had to come down to Studio City and play Harvard Westlake, and they came up short. So it's hard to get on a bus and win a game like that.
Yeah, some of these bus rides are really long, too. El Dorado won in the next region in D3 over Lusinger, 61-56. El Dorado's from Pacifica. Division IV girls basketball final. How about Palisades? They advanced 54-38 over Godinez. The Dolphins top-seeded Marina in the earlier round, 61-49. This is a great story with Pali. Their girls, who were good a number of years ago, resurfacing and getting to the state finals.
It is remarkable, and it's obviously a great story for obvious reasons, given the fires, just a year and some change ago. What a great story for the community. What a greater story it would have been. I know Jeff Bryant and the boys team are kind of just bummed because how great would it have been, Randy, to see both Palisades teams in Sacramento with a chance to win 2 state championships in the same season, given what that community has gone through. Really remarkable. But nevertheless, still the city champions were the boys, and now the girls can win a state championship.
And in Division 5, Laguna Hills and Sure. Laguna Hills won it big, 43-21. Still a great year for Sure that won its first ever CIF Southern Section Championship. So your overview of the regional finals, Tarek, those are all the games. Those are the games that were played. What sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, I think to me, for these teams, there's a small look. I think the state playoffs, it's so deep into the season. Let's not forget the season starts in the middle of November. I think it was November 18th was the first day of the season. It's March 11th. So you think about how long it's been, and you got to hold onto the rope as best you can. And you don't want to let go. And so, though I don't have a poignant answer for you, I have kind of this answer that I think personifies what it takes to get to this point of the year. And all these teams are just holding on there's so much fatigue and other stuff going on. And I will say there is a slight relief that you can take, but when you win a regional final. But you cannot quite let go of the rope. You've got to almost harness a little more energy and give one more pull because there's one more game. And I will say this, if you can't get motivated to play in an NBA arena and win a state championship, then maybe you shouldn't be there in the first place. So there will be no lack of energy on Friday and Saturday in the Golden One Center.
Yeah, you can't relax. Just ask the Sierra Canyon girls after the great performance in the sectional final, then they come into the regional and they lose to Sage Hill. All right, I'm going to quickly go down the rundown of soccer, the finals in the state. On the boys' side, Mater Dei versus Everett Alvarez. Girls' side, Mater Dei versus Bishop O'Dowd. So how about that? Mater Dei's girls and boys into the state final. Girls' state 2, San Ramon Valley versus Westlake. So a team from Ventura County gets there. Westlake, by the way, had a 0-0 regional game with Westview, but won on penalty kick. Boys D3 state final, Watsonville and Los Alamitos. And here's another one that we have Bishop Amon in a regional final. They win there, and then they go on to the state. Boys D5, Branson and Garfield. How about Garfield from the city section? Talk the one thing about the city in Garfield here is an illustration of getting to a state final. That's the sport that the city can still, and I know their basketball teams are doing pretty well right now in the lower divisions, but that's the sport, soccer. They can compete at any level.
Yeah, on the higher side in years past, the El Camino Reals, the Birminghams. I don't know how great Garfield is. That's a little bit of a newer program for me as regards to soccer prowess. But given that they're down in Division 5, they clearly weren't a city open division team or anything like that, which is fine. But yes, you are right. I think city soccer, definitely, there's a little bit more talent there than some of the other sports.
Let's have some fun talking some football. The high school football season never seems to go away. We've been talking for weeks about the opening at Orange Lutheran. It's finally been filled. Ray Fenton from Los Alamitos, who's had a tremendous career there. He had 6 seasons of better than 9 victories. I think Fenton's a great hire for Olu, Tarek.
I do too. I really like the hire. I think he comes with a lot of energy. He's totally a faith-based, moving forward dude. I like that about him. And I think the guy knows how to win football games. So he's going to have to channel some more resources. That's generally the prerequisite for Trinity League football. You got to get players. And that's just, it ain't taboo to talk about it anymore. You have to acquire talent to win in that league. And he will get a hold of it. He's coached talent before. Remember Malachi Nelson, the quarterback? Remember Makai Lemon? I think he won the Bolitnikoff this year, if I'm not mistaken, in college football. And now he's going to be a first-round pick in the NFL. You're correct. You're at USC. So, look, man, this guy knows how to acquire it. He knows how to coach it. And he knows how to win games. He also knows how to coach talent that isn't all that great either. That's what he did this past year. Now, he had some transfers and some nice players, but he didn't have any 5-star guys, really. It was all just really nice, solid football players, and they won the Division II championship. So the guy knows how to coach in every facet. I think it's a great hire. I agree with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it develops.
Yeah, Ray has the ability to put the players in the right positions, especially offensively. He can really confuse defenses with his schemes. Great coach. So's Dean Harrington. He goes to St. Bernard's, and I think this is another interesting hire. Dean's been great at St. Francis, at Paraclete. He's won CIF titles. At Paraclete, he even won a state championship. We all love Dean Harrington. We think of Dean Harrington, you think of offense.
There's no question. He is kind of known as a quarterback guru. He's coached Kyle Bowler. He's coached a couple other guys like Brevin White was a Division I guy that he had. I'm missing a couple others. Oh, yeah, Matt Moore in his time. He coached as well as assistant at Hart. So everywhere he goes, he's known for his offense. He's known for being fundamental, and he's known for running a great program. So, he is a little bit older. I believe he's 62 or 63 years old, and I think he was having a hard time getting a job. St. Francis let him go, for being honest. And, he put his name in the hat just about everywhere. Oaks Christian, along with some other, I want to even say maybe St. Paul and a couple other jobs, and wasn't quite the guy. But found a home in St. Bernard, and I think the bones there are really, really good. I don't think he'll ever be a powerhouse or anything like that, and I don't think he expects that. But I do think we're looking at a solid, anywhere between Division 5 and Division 3 football team, somewhere in that range.
Whenever I hear the name Harrington, I just expect wins and championships because he gets it done all the time, kind of like Ray Fenton. All right, Mater Dei had struggled to get their schedule together. Now they have a 10-game football schedule pieced together. They got some great teams. Valor Christian out of Colorado. They got to play Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas. That's not going to be easy, obviously. Obviously, the Trinity League. Couple great schools from Utah. It is and Centennial as well on that schedule. Mater Dei, like Bosco, playing a national schedule. You got to love it, Tarek.
Yeah, I believe they play a team or two from Utah. Yeah, it's loaded. And, they were in jeopardy of having a third straight season without 10 games on the slate. Now, the first one wasn't their fault. Neither was the second one. I think they've just been unlucky. The first time around, Laura had just gotten hired and they just couldn't fill the game. The second time they had 10 games, but they had Bishop Montgomery on the slate. And we all know what happened there. Their whole season got canceled, so they couldn't play the game. So they got left with 9 regular season games. And here, before the final bell, so to speak, they were able to get a 10th game. So kudos to the Mater Dei staff for getting that locked up for the players.
Shout out to Romeo Dobbs, the great wide receiver with the Packers, signs a 4-year deal with the Patriots. You're probably saying, Randy, this is a prep show. Why are you talking about Romeo? Well, Romeo Dobbs was great at Jefferson High School. I saw him play there in his senior year. He rushed for 1,700 yards. He caught passes, played a little bit of quarterback. It's always good to see the local guy not only make the money, but do well in the NFL. It's great that Dobbs, out of the city section, is productive.
It's the city section part that makes it so special. I think every year, look, we're gonna see we're gonna see Makai Lemon get drafted. We just saw Tetaroa McMillan and Mason Graham get drafted. They were at Servite. Like every year, there's standouts from the southern section, and in various sports, not just football. But Romeo Dobbs, man, still representing for the city. Kudos to him for being really a mainstay wide receiver now in this league, Randy. He's not just kind of a token guy. The guy is really, really good. And generally, I feel like now is kind of a second, third kind of depth chart option guy at wide receiver. Certainly not a number one, but maybe a 2 or a slot third guy for sure. He is part of an offense wherever he is, and that's because he's so good. So kudos to Romeo Dobbs.
Quick shout out in baseball, prep baseball in the LA City section, since we're talking about that section, to the Bell Eagles. They're 8-1. They're playing well. A couple years ago, they won the Open Division title. A lot of the same guys are still around. Jaden Rojas is brilliant, pitcher or hitter. He's got a couple homers, terrific on the mound. He won the game as a 10th grader at Dodger Stadium when they won the title. So the Bell Eagles are performing well in prep baseball in the city section.
They are, although you know who I'm going to call this right now. What do we got? March? Okay, middle of March. I'm going to say I think Birmingham's going to win the city title at Dodger Stadium.
Okay, they got pitching. I'm not arguing with Birmingham.
Yeah,
I think Birmingham Bell, huh?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I just something about Birmingham and so I'm looking at their early season, the kind of the roster they have. I'm calling it. I think I might even say they might even actually win a league title, which they never do. But Birmingham, I think, is going to be back. Yeah, I know. Birmingham's going to be back, and I think they're going to win the city title.
I wouldn't want to be an alumnus of Notre Dame and Sherman Oaks. Here's why. Caleb Foster, tremendous basketball player at Duke, fractures his foot. He's out indefinitely. Hunter Green, their super pitcher, maybe the best baseball player pitching-wise ever to come out of there. Of course, Giancarlo Stanton might be the best player, but Green's probably next in line. Hunter Green, elbow surgery, out for the Reds until July. What's going on with these former Notre Dame athletes?
Yeah, I just think it's coincidence. They got so many out there, it's bound to happen. Let's not forget guys like Dusty Schromer and Ben Stoltzberg. They're still contributing at the college level for their respective teams. So I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, those guys aren't getting hurt. All right, what game intrigues you the most? I know you're going to Sacramento. You'll be there. The game for me, obviously, is Ontario Christian and Archbishop Mitty. They played earlier this year. Mitty fell in double overtime to Ontario Christian, and Kalina Smith had 50 points in that game.
I think to me it's more like, I don't know if it's necessarily a game, because look, I'm not too familiar with the Northern California teams. I need to do a little research, and I haven't quite done that yet. The games were only, just recently. So I would say the storyline, though, is can the city win? Look, they're going to have 3 opportunities to win state championships: the Palisades girls, the Birmingham boys, and the Sylmar boys. How many city titles how many state championships can the city win up north? I think the last time it's been done was a long time ago. I'm going to have to look it up. Maybe like early 2000s or something. I think there's been some city representation. I don't know if a city champion has been crowned in a long time in Sacramento. There's been plenty of chances. I think this year they're finally going to get one.
How about Sierra Canyon and Salesian? Salesian's got a nice record. They're 29-3. Sierra Canyon's just dropped 1 game all season long on the boys' side. They're really in the mix for a potential national championship, as is Ontario Christian's girls. Your thoughts on Sierra Canyon? Is Andre Chevalier going to win another state title?
I think he is. I just think there's too many horses, man, too much talent, and I don't think Salesian's going to be able to keep up. I think Sierra Canyon wins by anywhere between 12 and 16 points.
You like the tournament every year in Sacramento? Would you like to see it come south down to Los Angeles one of these days?
I will. I think it's either going to be the state or the section, but don't be surprised if Steve Ballmer hosts section championships or state championships at the Intuit Dome in the near future.
Tarek, it was a quick half hour. You take care.
I'll be in Sacramento, and we'll see you next week, Randy. Looking forward to it.
It'll be interesting to get Tarek's thoughts on all of the games. Good luck to those Valley teams. Good luck to all of the Southern California teams. For Tarek, I'm Randy. And by the way, happy birthday to our producer, Larry Zavala. I'm Randy. Now we say goodbye until next week. Have a good one, everybody.